That's what you're drinking right now, man. You're drinking ayahuasca right now. That is amazing. He even asked that.
It's crazy.
Can you believe he just asked us that?
That is so fucking crazy.
What?
Yeah. It's good for what ails you.
Yeah. Am I gonna start tripping my balls off right now?
No. Opening up your third eye.
Opens up your pineal gland.
Yeah.
I'm telling you.
And it's gotten calcified from all that fucking fluoride they keep putting in the water
So we
supply.
like to give it a little kickstart every couple of days with this ayahuasca medicine. You know what I mean?
It makes us right as rain. Swear to God.
I'm telling you.
So good.
Yeah, just kickstarting my pineal gland.
Ecstatic spiritual visions to follow shortly.
British plants are one thing, but in the Amazon they use Banisteriopsis carpi, or ayahuasca, for their therapy, and it is strong medicine. The bitter ayahuasca brew first makes its drinker violently sick, but it's in the fierce and often terrifying hallucinations that follow that the healing is said to lie. But ayahuasca doesn't work on its own. Rather, it acts as a key to unlock the psychotropic qualities of another plant, and it's this plant that Piers is after. Professor Sir Gillian Prance was until recently the director of Kew Gardens.
This, it seems, is only one half of the ayahuasca brew, although it's called ayahuasca.
Yes, very definitely. The other half is a shrub in the madder family called Psychotia viridis. Now, local people call it chacrona, and it really doesn't work well unless you mix those leaves in with the brew of the vine of ayahuasca.
Why doesn't Kew have the chacruna?
The chacrona looks like almost any other small green bush in the forest, and so I think it probably has not been collected for that reason. It would be easy to get if you went out there with one of the shaman. They would take you straight to it, as they have many times.
To find the chacruna, Piers first needs to find a shaman to lead him to it.
We got rid of our shamans 400 years ago. We burnt the witches. And yet, in other cultures, in Peru, they have these shamans still there.
Forays into the jungle to study the vine in its native setting, or, as with the Ayahuasca Project in the 1990s, to study church members of groups like the UDV, who drink ayahuasca as part of their syncretic Christian jungle religion. What they found was that regular ayahuasca use flushed the brain clean and improved receptor sites, suggesting the vine could be a medicinal goldmine. But what science cannot explain is the psychic effect of this mother of all plants, the sense of the numinous and the spiritual world it reportedly opens up. Those who drink say that each ayahuasca journey is unique. The spirit of the vine comes alive, it guides and teaches, and on the other side, nothing is ever the same, or so they say. The native men and women who safeguard the knowledge of the vine and of the spirits it is said to reveal are the curanderos and the curanderas, or as the West would call them, shamans. Their role has been that of healer, priest, and traveller between worlds, acting as intermediaries between the spiritual dimension and this world on behalf of their patients. Yet the demands of the work and the rise of Western materialism throughout South America have seen a fall in prestige and customers for the curanderos. The profession, usually hereditary, was in danger of extinction before an unprecedented wave of Western gringos started coming in search of ayahuasca and the healing it can provide. Over the last 20 years or so, a new gringo trail, this one a journey of the soul, has been blossoming in the jungles of South America. Seekers and thrill seekers alike have been coming from the West for a reconnection to the deeper reality shamanism connects one to, and bringing back amazing stories of hallucinogenic trips, healing and enlightenment. Indigenous shamanism has quickly become the most profitable business in town, and numerous jungle lodges and retreats have sprung up across South America to cater to the influx of rich tourists. This has spilled over onto the internet as hundreds of ayahuasca websites, chat rooms and forums have emerged to crystallise a global subculture, engaging with an indigenous spiritual practice and seeding it back to the Western world.
In the markets of Iquitos, Westerners come looking for a magical potion.
We nickname it Witch's Alley because it's just where all the medicinal plants are sold within the land market.
Malcolm Rossiter is a former nutritionist who moved here from Melbourne. He guides me through the market in search of the region's speciality.
Facilitator Alan Shoemaker has been introducing tourists to the delights of ayahuasca for the past 9 years.
It's really all about purge every way you possibly can.
Really?
Getting phlegm out of your system.
Okay.
We cook all day. In the evening we have the ceremony. We give you the medicine. Sit back, and it takes about anywhere from 20 minutes to 45 minutes before you start to feel the effects. And what you want to do is relax and get your ego out of the way as quickly as possible.
In practical terms, I never quite understand how to let go of an ego. How would you explain that?
Well, if you have a medicine that's strong enough, I think it won't make any difference. Your ego will get out of the way. In the morning you get up, we take our clothes off, I'll blow an astringent on you, and then we use stinging nettles all over your body.
All right.
That again is purge again. So you build up toxins between the top two layers of your skin. So it'll puncture you in a million different places.
Oh, great.
So you're purging toxins.
I didn't know about the getting naked and beating with nettle thing. That's a new one on me.
Well, you don't have to do it. You could watch if you want to. Actually, you can do me if you'd like.
Oh, great.
Flavio is a shaman and a warrior, fighting hard to preserve his land and way of life from the oil companies, the colonists, and the encroaching outside world.
Pero ahora están destruyendo mi vida, mi pueblo y a mi futura generación. Los árboles, las hojas, todo. Eso no quiero.
Flavio's father, Raphael, is a Shwa warrior and an ayahuasquero shaman. They've organised workshops on their community where the local shamans share their culture and knowledge with the youth. Raphael is determined to pass on his ancestors' culture, knowledge and land to his children. The shamans are the spiritual guides and the medicine men of the tribe who have vast knowledge of the jungle plants and their medicinal uses.
Tengo muchos árboles, esos. Infecciones, charras, todo. Picaduras, todo. Este es bejuco curare. Entonces siempre nuestros abuelos nos indicaban para matar pava, cecino, monos. Muy peligroso para animales.
¿Por qué es ayahuasca importante para usted?
Ayahuasca es de nuestros abuelos cuando ellos tomaban para tener visión espiritual de la selva, del río, también de la lluvia, de los cerros. Este contiene de que este es bueno para salud de un chamanismo, control del chamanismo y tener más energía para el chamán y para controlar toda la selva. Entonces la boa es un chamán, o tigre es un chamán, espiritualmente. Todo animal contiene a este espíritu de ayahuasca. Vamos a llevar un poco para entrecambiar el visión, porque este es otro ayahuasca y también este es otro. Este viaje espiritualmente suelo conecta con ayahuasca, con otra ayahuasca, entonces por eso hace una visión más fuerte. Sin esto no tienes visión, no le ves bien, pero con este sí tienes visión, puedes mirar, o bueno, así, espiritual, selva, la medicina de montaña, ya, diferente. Este puede tomar también, yacha, o sea, puede tomar también el que seguía tomando, ¿no? Este no es difícil tomar, solo yacha, sino también cualquiera puede tomar.
It's necessary in preparing the ayahuasca brew. Out of the ayahuasca vine comes a black snake with a yellow aura. There is another snake called the chacruna snake, which penetrates the ayahuasca snake, producing the visionary effects of these two magic plants. In this vision, a defeated king from a remote tribe in Peru rises from his grave to tell his shocked wife that he has grown a vine from his hair, which is to be called ayahuasca, meaning vine of the dead. He said you must mix this vine with the chacruna plant, which will allow you to see sound, to have visions, and develop your psychic abilities and acquire deep knowledge from past cultures. In scientific terms, the ayahuasca brew consists of two main active ingredients, beta-carboline from the ayahuasca vine and the extremely powerful dimethyltryptamine, or DMT, from the psychotria or chacruna plants.
Normally DMT is destroyed in the gut, but you take it in combo with beta-carboline and then it's active.
This was discovered by Amazonian Indians millennia ago and not discovered by Western science till 1956.
During my research for this journey, I met author and ethnobotanist Terence McKenna. Terence was so inspired by his spiritual adventures with these Amazon shamans over the last 30 years, he wrote several books on his experiences and philosophies. He became a world-renowned speaker, advocate and expert on plant-based hallucinogens and shamanic rituals.
Shamanism is about going into the realms of death, transcending the body, transcending space and time. What the psychedelics do is they dissolve boundaries. They dissolve the illusion of separateness.
He sits behind a makeshift altar, a wooden box covered with an intricate, geometrically patterned cloth, like those the Shipiba women were selling, the visual trip reports of the ayahuasca headspace. The altar is covered with ceremonial objects, little rainbow bead dolls, wooden cups, and about 100 giant mapacho cigarettes. And last but not least, in plastic 2-litre San Luis water bottles, a thick, dark brown liquid, ayahuasca, the vine of souls. Ayahuasca is Quechua for vine of the dead souls. But at the same time, as a healer, we don't call them dead spirits, we call them allies, Percy explains through his interpreter. Ayahuasca is medicine, he continues. It is strength, intelligence, wisdom and healing. In this way, everything is in accord with tradition. While nature represents what life is, ayahuasca is the mother of us all, he says. Percy doles out the ayahuasca by torchlight, and we drink, one by one, going up to the altar and taking the medicine in little wooden bowls. The brew is dark and phlegm-like, and like all medicines it tastes foul, an earthy flavour that hits the quick of you and threatens to come up again. People burp and rinse their mouths around me, as I clench down the bitter flavour and breathe through it, feeling its warmth sink down into my belly. The blood of the vine, plant medicine to make you strong. Keep it down, let it pour into you, fill you, this plant-human interface. Outside, the sounds of the jungle deepen. Monkeys screech and parrots call to each other, and the ubiquitous sound of insects, as always, was switched on. Now, so are we. As the minutes go by, we collapse into our mattresses, and the sound of vomiting fills the air. A purge, the natives call it. The purge. Racking heaves of spew usher forth from gringos all around me, as the ayahuasca reads their energetic bodies, finds the sickness within, and brings it up and out, sometimes from both ends. When you're surrounded by a group of fellow ayahuasca drinkers in ceremony, their energies overlap your own. And as the ayahuasca heightens your senses, the sound of gringos drinking and vomiting and rolling around can be overwhelming. Every noise, every word, every look and breath sinks into you until you can't look at them. You need to reel in your own psychic energy and contain it within yourself, not contaminate it with others' energies, no matter how good-natured.
In some ways, I'm in a real mess. No wife, no child, no home, no career. I want to be happy with what I've got. Get better at being me. Feel at home in my own head.
Each participant in the ceremony drinks a cupful of the extremely bitter brew. As they wait for the effects, Alan whistles and beats his shakoppa to both calm the initiates and help bring on their visions.
Son espirituales que caminan entre medio de los espíritus de distintas clases de espirituales que existen en la selva, ¿no? Insecto, va sapo, puede ir la culebra, puede ir la boa, puede volar chimbilaco, puede estar volando ahorita a miles de kilómetros, un minuto, chimbilaco, ¿no? Entonces, esos son los espirituales que es del chamanismo. Sí,
complicado, ¿no?
Ya, muy fuerte del yachax.
¿Es posible entrar a otros mundos, ¿no?
Ya, posible entrar en cascada, puede trasladar por otros lugares en minutos con eso. Ayahuasca nos enseña a amar a toda una cosmología indígena, Amaluya, Amaquilla, Amashua, no robar, no mentir, no ser ocioso, vivir cuidando la naturaleza, siempre nosotros y nuestros hijos. Ayahuasca nos enseña a amar a la naturaleza, sino ver la espiritualidad de la tierra para ver el Pachamama y el espacio.
In many countries around the world, people are now running their own unique style of ayahuasca rituals to open a doorway into this shamanic world.
What you see, I think, is the morphogenetic field, the invisible world that holds everything together. You don't have to spend 20 years around the ashram.
Ayahuasca to me is a very, very feminine spirit. It's a feminine experience. It's an experience of let go, of surrender, of nurturing, of love, of light, of the heart. It's a holographic library. It speaks to you in visions. It communicates through pictures. And also, you're very sensitive to sound in ayahuasca. Sound can influence wherever you go. So we use sound as a navigator also. You use your intent and you use sound. Ayahuasca can be seen as a doorway, a link between the dimensions. It can give you all kinds of, let's say, shamanic information. It can give you a look into the animal world, the spirit world, the world of insects, the world of plants, the world of minerals, the galactic world, the cosmic perspective. And ayahuasca is like a deep immersion into that kind of experiential understanding of unity. And this unity is liberating. It's a transforming experience. Ayahuasca teaches that we are it, we are nature, we are not separate from it.
Estamos juntos con esa visión. Entonces esa visión nos da poder, nos da esa energía, ese más fuerza. Entonces nos da poder para vivir más tiempo.
Yo enseño a los jóvenes a tener este conocimiento psicomágico o la práctica espiritual para que así ellos puedan enseñar a su pueblo, trabajar en su pueblo como chamanes, no solamente el trabajo de chamanismo, también enseñar cómo vivir la vida, cómo vivir en la tierra, cómo respetar los fenómenos de la naturaleza. Entonces, esto es para mí muy importante porque sin este conocimiento espiritual, uno pierde también el equilibrio de su conocimiento como ser humano.
Mais c'est dans l'obscurité et le recueillement que les chamans prennent l'ayahuasca. Que contient cette liane sacrée? Comment peut-elle projeter la conscience dans un nouvel espace inconnu? Par quels moyens le chaman peut-il guider ses patients avec ses chants? Y a-t-il dans l'histoire humaine d'autres phénomènes comparables? Les chamans sont-ils les voyageurs secrets d'une réalité plus globale? Je pénètre en quelques minutes le monde des visions. Ils chantent, je me détends enfin. Les yeux mi-clos, j'observe un long balai de serpents qui laisse place à des crocodiles. Je suis surpris car c'est la première fois que j'ai une telle vision. Je ressens l'extase et la laisse lentement pénétrer mon corps. Puis son chant s'arrête, les crocodiles disparaissent et je flotte seul en moi-même. Les visions s'assombrissent. Je sens la terreur qui emplit mes organes. Ils me crient leur existence. Mon ventre se noue. Mon esprit ne peut accepter d'être lié à cet amas de chair palpitant. Les visions deviennent menaçantes. Au moment de perdre pied, Kestenbetsa se remet à chanter. Les cellules se remettent à vibrer et l'extase est immédiate. Je ne pense plus. Je sens avec angoisse des mouvements en moi. L'énergie de ces bijoux vivants semble me soigner. Ils caressent mes viscères.
energetic selves of plants and trees. Thus, I entered this process of shamanic initiation, if you will, in the Amazonian system. Basically, the higher energetic selves, the spirits, if you will, of the plants, enter into an agreement or relationship with the student, the human student. They work on a physical level. We have a physical body, but we also have energetic bodies associated with the 7 major chakras in our body. So on an energetic level, the higher energetic selves, the spirits of the plants, come and they heal us, they remove blockages, they clean our soul, if you will. They also prepare us, they organize the lines of energy, the rivers of light that flow through our body. They untangle these lines, and then they help to open up these centers so that we have different abilities, for instance, the ability to talk to plants and trees, or to see different vibrational dimensions.
It's not such a radical proposition to see plants as being teachers. In fact, it's only the alienation of Western science from our roots that creates that apparent split. I mean, for thousands of years around the world, medicine was based on plants.
These psychoactive chemicals in some way are a co-evolutionary mechanism, a way that, and here's where we get away from science and into speculation, but a co-evolutionary mechanism by which the community of species, or at least the community of sentient species, has evolved to talk to this primate, if you want to put it that way, a way to share the gnosis, to share the knowledge. A famous botanist once said, plants have substituted biosynthesis for behavior. Animals interact with their environment and deal with their environment primarily through behavior. The flight or fight reaction, all of this stuff. We move around. If we're threatened, we get up and run away. Plants can't do that. They're stuck in one place. So they mediate their relationships with the environment through chemistry. That's why they're such great chemists.
And if you are an animist, a person who sees the spirit of plants at work with agency, meaning the ability to choose to interact with another species,
suddenly the whole relationship becomes much more complicated, because now they can be used as an agent essentially to form a symbiosis with this hypertrophied brained primate. And so suddenly the whole evolutionary relationship, the co-evolutionary equation, has changed. The plant has an incentive to form a relationship with human beings.
Valuable as my DMT experiences have been, I feel that there's a lot more enduring value, really, in this folk technology, which stretches it out and makes it a navigable space. Our whole Western, European-derived tradition of distilling alcohols and isolating chemicals and making everything stronger and taking it out of nature and putting it into the biggest punch that we can, I don't think that generally that's the most useful way. I think there's a reason that cultures have learned to turn a 5-minute experience into a 5-hour experience. It seems to me that ayahuasca has had a plan, and that it's reached out into the world and brought DMT into many, many thousands of lives in a much bigger canvas than it had reached for the last 10,000 or however many years. And it's done it very rapidly, and it's done it with form to go with it.
And ayahuasca is much harder for the power structures that we have now. It's much harder for them to put down, because it has been part of a legitimate religious and spiritual practice for thousands of years, certainly in the Amazon. And we can't just dismiss all that as primitive mumbo jumbo and superstition. We have to get to grips with that on its own terms.
I think that there's a growing number of people who feel this desire to
get back in touch with nature, with plants, with animals, and who know that through the shamanic path there's a way of doing this, and that actually these tools, these psychoactive tools for plants like ayahuasca is a very direct way of doing this. Now, it may not be everybody's cup of tea, and I think a lot of people are actually with reason afraid of it.
Now everywhere I go in West Hollywood is filled with people pretending they don't see the actress, and the actress wishing that they could. We could do ayahuasca. Baby, if I wasn't holding all these drinks, something about the way Violet whips her hair that makes me empty my pockets, holding cold in the corner, burning 20s as if I was the mayor. Well, I don't need